So this will be the last virtual meeting that we're going to conduct in Practical Research 1 because I'm going to finish all the lessons, the discussions for this meeting. So we only have two lessons left, which are um, summary of findings, conclusions and recommendations, and then research abstract. So these are the two lessons left in Practical Research 1. Okay, so the summary of findings, conclusions, and recommendations. Okay, lesson objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students can discuss the ways of formulating the summary of findings, conclusion, and recommendations of the research paper and formulate the summary of findings, conclusion, and recommendations. Right, so the concluding part. After the collection of data and collating, presenting, analyzing, interpreting, and discussing the results, the formulation of the conclusion part of the thesis follows. The concluding part is composed of the summary of findings, conclusions, and recommendations. So in concluding part, you're going to present your overall analysis, evaluation, general interpretation of your study. So in this part, you're going to present what's what are the things that you can see in your results and discussion, basically. So in concluding part, it's not just you're going to provide the general conclusions or interpretations, but you also need to provide recommendations. So what can you recommend since there are problems that um, you are addressing in your research. Thus, it's very important that you need to provide suggestions, recommendations that the beneficiaries of your research. Then summary of findings. This part presents in brief and precise terms following: restatement of main and sub-problems, reiteration of the type of research, nature and size of samples, and locale of the study, enumerate or express the major findings in one or two statements, as well as identify whether the null statements or hypotheses have been rejected or not. Right, in summary of findings, you need to go back to your um, statement of the problem because that's the question or the problem that you need to answer in your paper, right? So basically, summary of findings and results and discussions are all connected. As what I have mentioned earlier, what you can see in the summary of findings are already provided in the results and discussion. You just have to reiterate or restate in your summary of findings. Right? For example, in this qualitative study, this study focused on identifying the strategies and creating software design of software developers using the addictive design strategies of Neiman 2017. Particularly, this study sought to answer the following question: what are the strategies of software developers in creating software design? So this is the very problem that you're going to answer in your summary of findings. So you can also see the answer of this statement of the problem in your results and discussion. So in your summary of findings, this is how you're going to write or construct. Since the question is, what are the strategies of software developers in creating software design? So you need to answer, what are those strategies? So here's one. The psychology-based software design strategies employed by the software developers are social reciprocity, which composed of 83.33%, user investment, which also composed of 83.33%, then gamification, composed of 66.67%, infinite scrolling, 66.67%, variable rewards, 50%, and illusion of choice, 16.67%. So it's just going to answer the literal um, information on this one. Then for the conclusions, conclusion contains insights drawn from the findings per subproblem. It summarizes the principal features of the study. It is devoid of any elaborated discussion of the findings. It is precise statement directly answering the stated problems. If there is any hypothesis stated, the decision whether to accept or reject such as hypothesis serves as the conclusion of the study. Right? In conclusions, you're going to base your conclusion on your summary of findings. So you need to interpret what's your interpretation, what's your analysis based on this summary of finding. So since this study, the highest psychology software design strategies used by the software developers are social reciprocity and user investment. Thus, you need to focus on these two software design strategies. So here's one. Based on the findings, it is clear that the software developers utilize psychology-based software design strategies that let the users to connect, communicate, and interact with other users of the software depending on their purpose. This strategy is featured in different software through social etiquette that demands follow back, somebody who has followed you, or the likes and favorite features such as in Facebook, which can instill a sense of obligation in users to do the same back. It is also clear that personalizing the user's accounts to make them feel they are in control of the software. People value more on what they have built, where they have spent their time and effort. So why the researchers concluded this one? So what's the reason why they concluded this way? Since the summary of findings revealed that the two top software design strategies employed by the software developers are social reciprocity and user investment. As what you can see, social reciprocity, it composed of 83.33% and user investment 83.33%. So that's you need to focus on the most employed strategies for this one. So that's how you're going to construct your conclusion. So you need to focus on what indicator is the highest. So you need to focus on that. Then for the recommendations, recommendations are identified to serve as practical suggestions for future research in similar fields. They are envisioned to further improve the pertinent variables of the investigation undertaken. They are expressed in clear, concise, and precise terms, relevant to the research problems and are feasible for implementation. They could give or suggest measures to concern government agencies or outside entities and address to other researchers. Okay, the very thing that you need to consider when it comes to writing recommendations is the beneficiaries of your research. Okay, I'm going to show you a sample, although this is not the format that you're going to follow, but the way you construct is just the same. For this is a quantitative study. Wait. Can you see the screen, guys? The PDF file, the study entitled Personality Traits. Okay. So, wait, this is a preliminary pages. Wrong. Wait. excuse me. Ito. So, this is an example of quantitative study which follows the thesis type format. So, in writing recommendations, you need to go back to your significance of the study. Okay, what do you mean by significance of the study? Significance of the study, this is the section in your chapter 1 wherein you're going to highlight who are the beneficiaries of your research paper. So, meaning those people who can benefit. So, for example, in this study, personality traits and game design preferences of the gamers in Davao City, here are the group of people that can benefit the study. You have the game developers, the game players, the teachers, and the future researchers. So, this, the significance of the study, the connection of this part is that these are the very people that you will give suggestions to. So going back to um, recommendations, these are the very people that can benefit your study. So let's check the recommendations or the chapter 5 of this paper. Okay. So this one, recommendations. Okay, based on the findings of the study, the conclusion, the researchers recommend the following. So, as what you can remember, the one that I'm showing to you, the beneficiaries of these research are the game developers, the gamers, the teachers, and future researchers. Thus, um, these are the very people that give recommendations to. First is game developers may utilize the mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetics framework since it is evident in the study that the gamers like to play online games using the designs present in the framework. So gamers may utilize the findings of the study in order to gain a clear understanding about personality traits, which could enlighten them with regard to their tendencies and identify the game designs that make online games appealing to the gamers like them. Then teachers may introduce gamified classroom activities using the game mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetics framework to enhance the learning of the students since most students nowadays are inclined with technology. By utilizing gamified classroom activities, teachers can easily hook the interest of the students and boost their learning. For future researchers, and they can use the study as a guide should they want to investigate further about personality traits and game designs. They can also use the study as a reference should they wish to consider other personality traits tests aside from the five-factor model and relate them to game design preferences and see if there is a different result. So it's up to you how you're going to construct your recommendations as long as they are in line with the results, the findings, and the conclusion of your study. So you need to remember that your recommendations should be feasible, meaning um, you should you should think of your recommendations that can be implemented. It's one. So here's the recommendation of a qualitative study connected to the studies that I've shown to you, the examples. Okay, the study also revealed that the software developers employ software design strategies that can potentially capture the interest and preference of the prospect users through psychological approach towards creating designing computer software or applications. Since the motive behind the software developers to create applications that cater the interest and preference of the prospect users, further studies on other unexplored software design strategies, such as interface-based that focuses more on design appeal of the software might be conducted to enrich our cognitive awareness towards the software use. So it's up to you. What can you recommend? Since your recommendations should be based on your summary of findings and conclusion. If you have questions about summary of findings, conclusions and recommendations. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's proceed to our last topic, which is abstract. I know you already oriented about this one because I already discussed this in EAPP. Let's just have a refresher for this topic. Okay, research abstract, information explosion. Okay, in this age of information, we are bombarded with a lot of information. So we as the readers of those information are called as information consumers since we acquire, we learn about the things that we can see, we can read of those information being presented to us through online or any other platforms. Right? In research abstract, abstract is a summary of a research article that is written in the beginning of an academic paper. So research abstract is very important in writing a research and conducting a research since it will give us the summary or the synthesis of the whole paper. So meaning even if we don't read the whole content of of a research paper or research article, by just reading the summary or the abstract, we will know what's the content, what's the gist of the content of the research. Its main purpose is to help other researchers and readers make a decision in selecting the readings. Okay, since research abstract is a laborious thing to read, research papers, laborious written composition to read, it's very important that we should know how to scrutinize paper or evaluate whether that particular research article is relevant to the research that we are conducting. So through the help of research abstract, we will know if that specific research is really relevant or related to the research that we are investigating. So the American National Standards Institute has defined abstract as an abbreviated, accurate representation of the contents of a document, preferably prepared by its authors for publication with it. Okay, when we say abbreviated, meaning it is shortened, it is being condensed. Thus, we say research abstract, all the contents of the research from chapter 1 to the last chapter being condensed in a single content, which is a research abstract. So you need to provide accurate representation of the whole contents of your research. Okay, research article abstract has received noticeable amount of attention as a result of the acceleration of the exchange of information in recent years. So as what I have mentioned earlier, one of the main functions of research abstract is to give a glimpse of the whole content of a research article. Though even though this is just a shortened form or content of the whole research, but it provides the gist or the important information. Thus, it's not necessary anymore to read the whole content of the research if you just want to evaluate if that specific paper is of help for your research. Okay, according to Huck in 2001, journal article abstracts have at least four distinguishable functions. So according to Hucken, there are four main functions of a research abstract. Okay, first is they function as standalone mini text. Okay, when we say standalone mini text, it means it is a short summary of the topic. So as what I have mentioned earlier, the whole content of the research paper is being condensed in a single content, a single paragraph siya. So even though it is being condensed, it is being shortened, but it presents the whole um, or the main ingredients of your research, meaning all the necessary information are already there. Next, they function as screening devices. Okay. Um, Research abstract can help readers decide whether to read or not the whole content of the research. As what I've mentioned, when you are conducting a research, when you are searching for related literature for your study, you can evaluate the articles that you have gathered if they are related or not by just reading the research abstract. So research abstract is of great help if we are gathering related studies, related literature for your study without necessarily reading the whole content. Then they function as previews for readers intending to read the whole article. So it's like a roadmap for the reading, meaning um, if you're going to read the whole content of the research article in a research abstract, you will already know what you will encounter upon reading the whole content of the research. It will give you the bird's eye view. It's like um, it's like a table of contents. Although the format is just it's in paragraph form, but it will give you a glimpse of that concepts, the ideas, the notions that you will get from that research abstract. Then they provide indexing help for professional abstract writers and editors. So it's like a model or paradigm for writing your own abstract. So by reading research abstract of other research articles, you can have an idea on how you're going to construct your research abstract if you are conducting a study. Then they provide reviewers with an immediate oversight of the paper they have been asked to review, right? So if you're going to submit your research, when you want to uh, publish your research, the first thing that you're going to submit to the publication is your research abstract. Okay, the peer reviewers will read your research abstract if they are worthy of the chance, the opportunity of your research to be published in their publications. So it's very useful when you submit a research to a publications or conference, and if you want to present that, if you want to present your paper, then you submit first your research abstract. Then in writing your research abstract, it's the same thing with writing your research introduction. There are also moves that you need to follow. So these moves are logical since these are the whole content of your paper being condensed in one paragraph. So in writing research abstract, these are the moves. You have move one, introduction, the move two, purpose, move three, method, move four, product, move five, conclusion. Okay. Move one, introduction, which means situating the research. In move one, introduction, it establishes the context of the paper and what motivates the research. So in move one, introduction, you're going to provide the context of your paper, meaning the background of your paper. You need to provide a short rationale of your paper. What prompted you to conduct this study? What's your observation? What have you noticed in the context or in the situation that is related to your study? So you need to answer this implied question. What do you know about the topic? So You should present what's your topic all about. Then you need to relate the topic on the context or the situation wherein you notice or observe that there's a specific problem that you want to address, which is related to the topic. Example, this study, this is my research in college. It is also published in international um, publication. It's a university press in UIC. Example, my study is about pragmatic functions of Cebuano-Kuan conversations. Okay, in spontaneous conversations, there are utterances and expressions that do not have convenient meanings. These words, referred as pragmatic markers or discourse particles, need to be supplemented using pragmatic interpretations. Pragmatic functions of discourse particles have become prominent subject of research studies in the field of linguistics. Thus, this study is interested to explore the pragmatic functions of one prominent pragmatic marker in Cebuano language, which is Kuan. So this is the context of my paper. This is the very thing that I have observed in conversations. Thus, this prompted me to conduct this specific study. Then move to the purpose, presenting the research. It indicates the purpose, outlines the aim behind the paper. So in this move, you're going to express what's your objective. Why do you want to conduct this research? So you need to express in this part your motivation behind conducting your study. So you need to answer this implied question. What is this study about? So what's your purpose? What's your objective? What's your very aim? Why you want to conduct this study? Example, this study is aimed at describing the pragmatic functions of Cebuano Kuan in the conversations of local disc jockeys with AB Tambayan 1296, a radio program of ABS-CBN Davao radio station. So basically, in purpose, move to, you're just going to um, reconstruct your statement of the problem. Meaning your SOP should reflect on your purpose. You just have to transform your sentence. The next move 3 method, describing the methodology, provides information on design, procedures, data analysis, etc. So in method, by the name itself, you're going to provide the procedure that you use or utilize in order to conduct this study. So you're going to answer this implied question. How was it done? So meaning, how did you answer your purpose? How did you suffice your purpose? So that's the main function of move 3 method. So example, this specific study, it's just use the theoretical framework or the theory base of the study. Um, this specific example of research abstract did not include anymore the procedures, the um, the research participants. It's just provided the theoretical framework or the theory base of the study. Example, the framework of Tanang Singh 2009 was utilized to analyze pragmatic functions of Cebuano Kuan in the conversations of the participants. So you need to condense your methodology since research abstract is very short. Then move 4, product. Summarizing the results. Indicates results and the argument. So in product, meaning you need to provide the findings of your study. It summarizes the results and discussion of your paper. So you just have to provide the main result of your study. So you need to answer this implied question. What was discovered? Okay, example, after subjecting the analysis to expert validation, This study revealed that Cebuano Koan functions as pause fillers, discourse markers, placeholders, pseudodeixis, reference, and repair in conversations. So very condensed. You need to synthesize. So you need to condense the results in discussion in just one sentence. The next, the conclusion, points to applications or wider implications in interpretation scope of paper. So in conclusion, you need to provide your analysis or interpretation on your summary of findings for the results and discussion. So you need to answer this implied question, what do the findings mean? So based on these findings, what can you deduce? What can you conclude? So example, based on the findings, it is clear that the local disc jockeys and radio program X80 Tambayan kung is use Cebuano Koan in conversations primarily as a convenient word while they are grouping or searching for the words or phrases that the speakers wanted to imply or as an expression to reformulate clausal structure. So very condensed siya. The conclusion is just being summarized in one sentence only. So in totality, this is an example of a whole research abstract. So the one that's being highlighted with color brown, this is the move 1. The color red, this is the move 2. The color blue, this is the move 3. The color purple, this is the move 4. The color green is the move 5. So the first one, the color brown, is the move 1, the context of your study, which is the introduction. So the red one, this is your purpose. The blue one, this is the methodology. The purple one, this is the results or the product. Product is move 4. Then the green one, the conclusion. So you also need to provide keywords. Keywords are very important because these are the words that are prominently used in your research. Okay, one of the very purposes of giving the keywords is that when you publish your paper, then if it is being uploaded in the internet and available in the internet for readers, when people will search for your study or studies that are related to pragmatic functions, um, pause fillers, pragmatic markers, or discourse particles, they will just use the keywords. For example, when you type pragmatics or pragmatic markers, Cebuano, your study will be prompted in the screen or in the search engine. So the search engine will present this the link for your study para ma-optimize siya. This is another example of research abstract. Then keywords in research abstract. Keywords are words or phrases that you feel capture the most important aspects of your paper. That's what I've mentioned earlier. Keywords are very important in writing research abstract since they represent the most prominently used words in your paper, meaning they present the notions or ideas that uh, will give to your readers what's your study all about. And to create yours, just think about the topics in your paper. So basically, the research, the keywords in your research abstract are the words that we can see in your research title. So what words do you enter into search box to find your paper? As what I have mentioned earlier, these are very important since when you search for a copy of our research article, you need to provide the keyword so that your paper will be prompted when in the search engine. Then in some databases, to provide comprehensive results, the keyword search option actually searches the article titles and abstracts along with these designated keywords. So um, in internet kasi, we have what we call search engine. So for example, Google, Yahoo, Bing. If we're going to enter words, if you want to search something, then you enter the keywords. Those related links that are related to the very words that you use, you encoded in the search tool or search box. The search engine will prompted all of those um, links that are related to the keywords that you encoded in the search tool or search box. Okay, for example, if you've written a paper about the benefits of social media for people with anxiety, your keywords line might be as follows. Like anxiety, social media, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. Since these are all related concepts to your research. Okay, for example, the title of my study, Exploring Pragmatic Functions of Cebuano Koan in Conversations. So my keywords are pragmatics, pragmatic markers, Cebuano, Kuan, Philippine scenes. These are the words that we can relate to my study. Okay, keywords in research abstract. Because keywords are natural language words, keywords can include acronyms. Keywords for a paper and using the Wisconsin card sorting test with patients with obsessive compulsive disorder might look like this. Like Wisconsin card sorting test, WCST, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. In keywords, just think about a social media post. So some social media posts, they um, included hashtags. So for example, when you search for something in social media, then if there are hashtags related to the words that you use when you search in social media sites, all those hashtags that are related to the words that you type or encoded will be shown in the screen. So that's the one of the functions of hashtags. It can archive all the related posts that use the hashtag. So the same thing with keywords in research abstract, the same principle. Okay, the publication manual doesn't place a limit on how many keywords you may use. However, to be most effective, keywords should be a concise summary of your paper's content. The recommended number of keywords are 3 to 5 keywords. So the recommended number of keywords for your research abstract, 3 to 5 keywords. So you need to think of what are the very words that you can relate to your research. And that's the end of my discussion. Okay, do you have questions, clarifications about our discussion? Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So by the way, Janeline, we'll update again you ha about
Sir. Isa
sa
lang daw.
sa
Sir.
lang gyapon. Sige lang.
Sir.
Nahan lang tong other sub tawag ani. Kung dili ta makaabot og 5, at least maka 3 lang ta. Kung makabot og 3, kung di jud makaya og 5, okay na lang na inyo. Anyway, I decided na dili na lang ta ninyo mag final defense, but you still need to provide the whole content of your research.
So bali ang requirement na lang namo sa PR1 sir kay ang amo na lang final paper.
Final paper na
Wala
lang.
na mean
Wala
final
na lang tayo
defense.
final defense. But you need to provide your chapters one, your introduction, the whole paper introduction, um, methods, results and discussion, and conclusion. You still need to provide all the contents of your research. Ano na lang.
sir.
Inaambay questions, do you have concerns? Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if none, I think that's the end of our um, discussion. I think it's a wrap. So I'm going to end the conference now. Thank you for joining, guys.
Thank you, sir.